Welcome back to Singer Dad Reacts. My name is Josh, and I'm excited to move forward in discovering more about Diana Ankudinova. Hopefully I pronounced that right. A lot of you are very excited for me to review more of her songs, and so I definitely want to get to that, and I appreciate your patience in this process. There's a lot of different artists to cover. But I do see a lot of demand coming in, and I am excited to see more of her. I did a little more research on her and her life story. Quick shout out to Glenn Bowie. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. He gave some interesting information about her life. She was abandoned at an early age, neglected by her parents, and taken into an orphanage. It sounds like when she was taken in at the orphanage, I think around the age 4, she did not speak. She wasn't really speaking at that point, probably due to trauma or the things that she had dealt with, and she was kind of recluse. She was kind of probably going within into herself as a defensive mechanism, most likely. When you hear about that, that's usually what's happened. So really just a very hard life. And I love these types of stories because it shows the strength of the human spirit. When someone like her is dealt a challenging situation, a challenging life, and they rise up and they follow their dreams, and they make something special of themselves, and really work hard to use the God-given gifts that they have. It's a neat story, and it sounds like after kind of doing a little more research, the competition, the Super, which I believe was created by Igor Krutoy, who's a Russian composer and producer, music promoter, and so forth. He's affiliated with Dimash, of course, but he was one of the ones, I think it sounds like, that discovered Diana, and he's also one of the judges that was on my last reaction, and he started the show The Super, and I believe that the competition itself was built exclusively for children, younger people that are in Diana's situation, right, where they've had a tough time, they're orphans or whatever, and Igor wants to give them an opportunity to shine and to have an opportunity to, make music and have a different life for themselves, right? So, and it sounds like she really seized on that and went for it. So I'm excited to hear her song today, which is Rechenka, meaning the river. And so I did a little research on this. I wanted to apologize to the very kind linguist who made a comment earlier on and offered to provide a more accurate translation of this song. I forgot that you had done that you had offered to do that, and then it came time for me to do this reaction, and so I didn't have time to reach out to you. So I did see that. I do appreciate that, but I wasn't able to capitalize on it. So what you can do, if you'd like, is send me the translation. And what I can do is on the next reaction for Diana, I can read the lyrics with some of the updates. So with your special careful eye on the linguistic side and getting the correction for all the translations. So that would be great. So with that in mind, the translation that I got, it reads like this. It says, "The river, you are my river, you flow but not quiver. Oh, your baby, my baby, why are you sitting and not smiling? Oh, playmates, my dear playmates, oh, I have nothing to rejoice about. Oh, I have nothing to smile about. We have a yard full of horses, and the kinnicle," which I looked up, and that means like a group or a gathering, "is full with the guests, with the guests, with the guests. I have neither father nor mother. There is no one to bless me. You are my river, you flow but not quiver. So I can see why Diana picked this song based on kind of the story it appears to tell. And I believe this is someone else commented it was like a Russian bridal song or something like that. I'm not sure how that ties in. I couldn't find any more information about the song, unfortunately, when I tried to look out there and research it. But if you have any more information about kind of the story behind the song that you found in your research, go ahead and put that in the comments. I'd love to get a deeper understanding of the song and what it means. But let's move forward and get started with the reaction. So the other reason I chose this song and not kind of Wicked Game or one of the others is, as I'm doing with Dimash, I kind of want to follow, at least to some degree, a chronological timeline where, I'm starting when she's younger, which is why I kind of did the one I did before with Dear Near Dance, and because it's one of her earlier performances. And I understand from some of your comments that was a very small part of the song because of the nature of the competition. There are better performances of that. So what I'll probably do is go back and do a reaction to another performance, and maybe one later on once I get to like that area of her timeline. I think that would be interesting to kind of do one later on when she's more developed and all of that, and see what she does with the song at that point. So that'll be one that I look to do later. If you have any suggestions for which version that I pick for that, that would be great. So yeah, I'm going to get to it. There aren't any subtitles. I couldn't find any videos with subtitles, and I don't recall. I looked through all the comments. I didn't see any suggestions for any YouTube videos with English translation, closed captioning. So that's part of why I wanted to print out the lyrics and read those and talk about that. So let's move forward. If you haven't already, if you could please subscribe, click the notifications. That way, if I have additional Diana videos and reactions or others that you may be interested in, you can get notified right away. I appreciate it.
Моя реченька, ты течешь.
So that's some of you mentioned that she's a yodeler, and when you said that, it made perfect sense, because I even went back and watched my reaction, and I actually called out when she kind of flipped between her chest and head voice like that. It seemed to really happen and flow easily, and that makes sense by the fact that she's a yodeler, because that's a lot of what the yodelers do. They kind of flip in and out of that with the yodeling, and she just did it again there. But I think what's really neat for me with Diana is the richness of her voice, and I'm listening to really get an idea of what type of voice she is, because there's a lot of talk about her being a contralto, and I'm sure that's true, and so I was doing a little more research about that. So there's 3 different types of contraltos. You've got the coloratura, which is more kind of the agile, florid passages. So you imagine like they're doing a lot of movement in the music, right? So they're doing a lot of runs, a lot of jumping around, things like that. Then you've got a lyric, who's more of kind of a lighter, headier sound, kind of not as rich and deep. So as you would guess, I'm thinking that Diana is not from that group. And then there's the dramatic, which is described as deep, dark, and powerful. So I'm thinking that she's more on the dramatic side, based on, and again, I'm going on limited information from what I heard in the first song, but I'm interested to kind of see after this song what, how I feel about that, and if that's actually the case. So let's get back to it here. I don't think I need to rewind because I stopped it in a good spot here.
Та не колыбнешься.
So warm. She's got that crying in her voice.
Да ты чего сидишь? Да не улыбнешься. Агустито, полна горница.
Sorry if that was a bad spot. Wow. Okay. She has like this kind of quality to her tone. I can't describe it. It's like a normally when you go, like when you're yodeling, you kind of go, oh, hey, I can't yodel, but you're flipping up to the higher part of your voice and back, like that. And there's almost kind of some of that behind her tone, her regular tone when she's singing, even kind of in the lower part of her register of her voice. That's interesting. It's a very interesting timbre, very interesting tone she has. I'm gonna go back so I don't miss anything here. I know I stopped it in a funny spot here, but this is very interesting. I want to take this all in here. Let's go back. To when she starts kind of this, yeah. Hear the very rich tone though. Good breath control. I love this part.
Нет у меня отца матери, некому меня благословить-то.
And there it is. Wow. Looks like I caught it right at the right time there. Yeah, she's flipping in and out like that. That's very unusual, very, very neat sound, very good control that she has there to flip in and back and forth. Another thing that people may not key in on too is like having kind of dealt with different types of performances and stage blocking and things like that. when you're singing and all of a sudden people are picking you up, or I don't know if any of you have watched my. I uploaded some of my songs from some of my performances. I have a playlist out there if you're interested in checking out some of my solo work. But when I did Les Mis, and I was Javert, and we did the Javert suicide scene. So there's part of it where I fall back. I have to do a trust fall type thing, and I fall back, and the ghosts of Javert's past catch me. And so I'm having to sing that. I think it's an F above middle C or whatever that note is. I think it's an F sharp actually. And I have to sing that as I'm laying there. And it's, things like that. Whenever you're lifted or moved, or you have to go into some other position, or, anything like that, you have to really be solid in your mechanism to be able to, hold your pitch and get your intervals and all of that. So props to her. I mean, she's at a young age here. She's only 14, so she's just getting started. But the other thing I'm impressed with is her confidence level. She's just owning this. To come in at that age, especially given like her past and what she's dealt with, and just to come in, like a fireball, and just own it and sing it, and really wow the judges. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. So let's go back a little bit here. I want to see that lift again real quick. And these little jumps right there.
Отца матери, некому меня благословить-то.
He doesn't know what to think. Must be the river.
Моя реченька, ты течешь.
She jumped up into her head voice.
Да не колыбнешься.
Hear the warmth in her voice. Wow. I'm going to listen to that last part one more time here real quick. Sorry, guys. Yeah, she just jumped right up into it, no problem.
Да не колыбнешься.
Wow. So let me get rid of this screen here. So yeah, I mean, she definitely has a great gift, and it's clear to me that she's had some training, she's worked very hard, and she's found kind of that uniqueness that is hers, that she owns, that is and everything, all the research I did on contraltos, talks about how rare they are as a voice type. So she's definitely, in that group. You saw me singing along with her. That means that her voice is definitely in the lower range, and that's part of the nature of the contralto, right? I mean, they kind of overlap with, baritones for sure, and of course tenors. So my wife, when we were in college and she was really active with her voice, had an incredible range, and she actually could sing contralto. I mean, she could sing down in that same area, in that same range, but she could also sing coloratura soprano stuff, Queen of the Night, that type of stuff. Incredible range, but part of what she has that, I'm kind of noticing also with Diana is this kind of the richness to the sound. When she comes through in those lower notes, there's the timbre almost changes. It's kind of this darker tone, and it's really rich and vibrant, and the vibrato. If you see me do something like that, that's because that vibrato, which kind of gives it that richness, and it's really pleasant to listen to when someone has a nice vibrato and that deep sound. So I was trying to find like a voice type or a voice of a popular contralto that was similar to Diana, and one of the ones that I found that after kind of listening to several of them that seems somewhat close, but she doesn't do the yodeling aspect, right? That's unique to Diana, but her name is Ewa Podol's. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. She's from Poland. She's a little bit older, I think, now, but I listened to some of her recordings, watched some of her recordings, and she also has kind of this rich tone, and she's considered more of a contralto. She's considered more of a coloratura contralto, but they talk about her having more of kind of the dramatic feeling about her voice as well, because it does have that depth and darkness and power that kind of define what a dramatic contralto is. So that her voice seems similar, and after listening to Diana again, I think I definitely think that she has some similarities there. And I think also where Ewa's is similar, she has a 3-octave range, and it sounds like Diana's got a pretty healthy range. And this is early on in her, her singing career. So, like I am with Dimash, I'm anxious to get to the point where I'm more at some of her recent stuff to see her growth, especially where Igor kind of took her under his wing. It sounds like at one point. I don't know when that happened. If you have any knowledge about that and you want to put it in the comments, that would be awesome. I'm sure it was like somewhere around this competition when she first kind of tried out and was a shining star type thing, around 14, it sounds like, from what I understand of the timeline. So he, I'm sure, had something to do with that as far as kind of fostering that and teaching, and not probably directly teaching her, but making sure she had the instruction she needed to really blossom and grow into the performer she is today, and continue to grow, of course. So yeah, great. She's got a great voice. As you all said, I mean, she's very unique. She's got a very unique style to her voice, and I want to kind of hear her take on different songs, to kind of hear how she approaches, different styles and different, song types and things like that. But she definitely has a very agile voice. Very, as I said before, it's almost kind of a sharp tone. It's very, not in a grating way, but just like, I'm sure that if she wasn't mic'd and if she was in a theater and she sang, that she would be heard fairly well, because her voice just has that penetrating quality to it. Anyway, thank you all for your suggestions. I'm looking forward to continuing down this journey with Diana. So again, if you have further suggestions, the two big ones that you've all suggested in conjunction with Rechenka is Wicked Game and Human. So those are the two I'm kind of looking at. So if you have others that you can chime in on, because I do have some others that others have suggested, but what I like to do is get a consensus from a lot of different viewers to see what everybody likes and what everybody feels I should listen to next to kind of follow her growth pattern and take it through in that order, right? So this one is from when she's 14. Are there others from when she's 14 that I can listen to before I jump to the ones where she's 15? Or should I just jump and then work my way up to where she is now? So please give your feedback. And if you haven't already, if you could please subscribe and click the notifications. And thank you for your support, and take care.